think the first thing you should know is that jumping when doing fell rush actually makes you go further. I use this fence as a guideline, same with ventral retreat. Compared to that, I can do the entire length of this fence. More that you know. Anyways, today I'm going to be doing a Demon Hunter guide, as promised. Everyone else seemed to like my marksmanship guide. Appreciate that. Anyways, yeah. So first of all, you want to be playing Havoc. You don't want to be Vengeance. That would be kind of stupid. So Havoc, this is going to be a Havoc Demon Hunter guide. Here's all your abilities that you're going to hit. And that's going to be it. Alright, guys. Actually, though, these are going to be your talents. I'll just overview them real quick. In case you're wondering why I'm whispering. And the lighting is by a lamp, which I will show later. Anyways, you can either run Fell Mastery or Fell Blade. Fell Mastery just increases your Fell Rush damage done, and then also grants you 30 Fury. So I'll use this cow for an example. There it is, 30 Fury. Fell Blade, on the other hand, you do that, and it does this animation. You jump to your target. Either one's fine. Depends. Usually want to use Fell Blade whenever you're running after a druid or a monk. Twos is really good for Fell Blade, but for Mastery is definitely for threes, I would say. You almost never change from this. In fact, you don't. Always take this. Yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory. This one, same thing, you just never change. Doing this, you just make your Throat do extra damage and add bleeds. It also stacks. So I'll go back to these cows over here and use them as an example. If I throw a glaive, it dies. If I throw another one, it would die even faster. On this talent range, you're almost always going to want to use another Watt. In fact, you always use it. It's basically like a little bubble. You can be CC'd during it, however, and you cannot Fell Master. Can you Fell Rush? Yeah, you can't Fell Rush during it. You cannot do any damage, so Fell Rush is considered a damaging ability, since it actually does do damage. Nemesis used to be the best, but since they nerfed it, there's no merit to really taking it. So Momentum's now the best if you can stay on your target. If not, Fell Eruption's not far behind. So when you notice, whenever I'll use my Fell Rush here, I'll get a buff up here. 4 seconds really isn't that much, to be honest with you. If it was 5, it would be really decent. But by the time you already use your Fell Rush, it's already down 1 second. Like, it's 4 instantly to 3. So it's good. You can almost keep it up almost all the time, basically. Master of the Glaive is just to increase the bloodlet damage, basically, of this. So giving it 2 charges, and you almost never change from this again. It's always just a baseline talent. Chaos Blades used to be the best, but since the change of Nemesis, people have been running Fell Barrage otherwise, which does this to your target. They can be used up to 30 yards away. It's a stacking ability, so it goes up to 5 stacks. And what ends up happening is you either get random procs of it, so it just refreshes. However, it's always going to be on a 30-second recharge no matter what. At the end of a 30-second recharge, you'll just get one more stack of it in case you, for some reason, don't get any. As you'll see right here. Now it's at 1, then 30 seconds it'll reset. Chaos Blades is still really good. If you want to use it with Metamorphosis, it really increases your damage an immense amount. But Fell Barrage is more of a consistent, which is the Demon Hunter. I'd say it's the Demon Hunter swing right now. Moving into Honor Talents, I think Trinket's always just better. Adaptation's really not well. Neither is Relentless. I would say Trinket's always better. I don't think I've ever changed from Reinforced Armor, even versus double melee. Sparring might be better, but I've never changed. I've only ever been Reinforced Armor. Solitude is about 99.99% of the time better. unless for some reason your healer wants you to take cover of darkness, which then instead of it doing 20% chance to miss, it then changes it to 70%, which is the blackness that you drop on the ground. I would say this Solitude's always better, especially with rain from above. You're always 15 yards away, and 15 yards really isn't that far. It's probably about half the size of this fence. Let's say like right there. Maybe right there. Moving to this one, reverse magic is good versus hunters, and sometimes mages, possibly. Usually used against hunters to just reverse their traps. So your healer, if they're running adaptation, for example, versus red hunter, you can just reverse every other trap. And on top of that, they'd be adapting a Hodge, probably not getting trapped, unless it's a Marks hunter. Nonetheless, you can reverse magic to save your team. Unending Hatred is really good versus UA Warlocks. For example, Fire Mages, if they dodge you at all. Really anything, I mean, any magical effect. Shadow Priest, you almost never go out of Fury. In fact, you don't. Demonic Origins, I've never changed from. It's by hands down the best talent. Just because of the 10% outside of meta damage. Rain from Above and Detainment here are the only two viable ones. Rain from Above being really good versus melee as a defensive. However, this does 6% of an enemy's HP. I'd say about every 1.5 to 2 seconds. You can get your things off. It can be spell reflected and it can be grounded. And it doesn't kill grounding totem in one hit, even though it does 500k damage to a player, because it is percentage based. It does 6%, so it will do 6% of a grounding totem's health. Meaning if you are trying to kill a shaman with this, or a shaman hits grounding, your teammate will either have to kill it, or you're just going to get negated all of that damage. It's also a very good defensive. However, you do shoot up for about 2 seconds, I'd say, out of a healer's range, so you're out of 40 yards. So if you're really like at 3%, you have a dot or two on, you'll more than likely die. Detainment being essentially a cyclone, except it makes your imprisoned 30-second contrary to 15. It's really good. This is used most of the time, I would say, but Rain from Above is definitely a good defensive and offensive ability for sure. Rotation wise, honestly, don't even bother hitting Blade Dance unless you're trying to like dodge like a Mighty Bash or something. That is about the only thing, or like dodge a kidney, or if there's like a Shadow Dance on a rogue up. Warrior has all cooldowns up. Other than that, don't even bother. It doesn't do enough damage. Like, it really doesn't. Chaos Strike, if you just have this ability on every single item, you'd be fine. You'd probably win the game. Chaos Strike is basically the only ability you hit. You use Fell Rush to gain Fury, or Fell Blade to gain Fury, and then you spam Chaos Strike, hit Fell Barrage every other 5 stack. Only ever really use it on 5 stacks. 4 stacks is alright, or if it's lighting up is okay. But other than that, it doesn't do enough damage for it to be like a big cooldown. Spam Glaives. You can use it as a damage, but I'd rather just use it as a slow personally. So let's say a monk is this guy. So I Vengeful Retreat, Fell Rush, and then throw a Glaive. And then if I wanted to, I could just do that. Now I'm at the monk and he's slowed. And then I can just throw another one whenever necessary. I-Beam's really good. It does a lot of damage, especially if people are lined up. You can get more than one. Kind of use that off cooldown whenever you can. Also notice that whenever you kick someone successfully, you get 50 Fury, which is 1 Chaos Strike by the time you auto attack and stuff, probably 2. Imprison off DR. Remember, you have the sightseeing ability, so if you can see a rogue in stealth, you can also see mages in stealth, druids, anything in stealth. But if you are damaged, it instantly breaks, so be wary of that. Vengeful Retreat also slows your enemies, whenever you do disengage away from them. Keep that in mind. That's really it. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory, I'd say. You stun whenever you want to. If you're Blood Elf, same thing. Use your Arcane Torrent whenever you want to. Meld. I'd say meld CC, or just meld big damage like an Ebon Bolt or something if it's coming at you. Same with Bubble. I would wait to bubble after damage rather than before. If you and your healer are iffy if you're going to be fine or not, that's usually what happens. But if you can, like if you know you're going to get from like 100 to 0, you can just nether walk out. Understand that although it does increase your movement speed by 100%, it does not break snares. So, although you think you might be fine with it, trying to get out of a sticky situation, you're probably better off just using it and then double fell rushing. Yeah, I don't know why I couldn't think of that. Double fell rushing to Vengeful Retreat, and then you could also just mate on someone from 40 yards away to get back into the fight, so that would be alright. Artifact's a really good ability. Blur is blur. That's it. Make sure you have glide bound. Just kidding. That's it. Everything else is... Demon Hunter doesn't have many spells at all. Yeah. If you have any questions, just let me know. So remember, when you use this fence as comparison again, if I'm standing here and I fell rush, only to there. Now if I'm standing and I'm doing a run and jump, double jump, boom. Now I've gotten this far. And if I'm going to do a Vengeful Retreat, double jump, bam, way further. Same thing with this. If I double jump and run, same length. And if I'm doing this behind it, boom, just cleared that fence. So make sure you know that coming into Stormwind. Other than that, let me know what you want to know. I'll tell you what I know. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. So just realized I never showed what I was using as my lighting. I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but that is it. A little light like that, so hopefully my webcam doesn't fall. That's it. Boom.